Don't forget, folks, when you think it's Elizabeth Warren and it's only Elizabeth Warren's campaign doing this, there's always the DNC right behind. The DNC has been pretending to be a neutral arbiter. Well, let's take a look at who the DNC put on CNN today and what she had to say.
Our question to say, did you say this or not? She says you had this conversation. You say you didn't say it. What happened?
So there is this, I'm going to try again, because again, Sanders doesn't have any supporters at this table, so I will play the role.
I can jump in.
But here's the idea. Here's an argument. I have heard plenty of Democratic women say that they are afraid that a woman cannot win. I'm sure that you've heard that, if not maybe even said it at one point or another yourselves. Sanders has his certain blunt style. Maybe it came out wrong. Is that possible?
Well, I am willing to believe a lot of very bad things about Bernie Sanders. Actually, it doesn't ring true to me that he would genuinely believe that a woman could not run and win as president. He got clobbered by Hillary last time around, so he's experienced this before.
He doesn't seem to know that yet.
But, so that doesn't ring exactly true to me, and I think he likely could have been handicapping the race in a very clumsy way. The other thing is, these folks are going to fight each other. It's like going on The Bachelorette and expecting to find friends. That's not what they're doing here. They're looking for votes. They're competing against each other. And he should make the point, frankly, look, there were two people in the room, and my colleague, Senator Warren, has a history of stretching the truth, and one of her largest lies, her actual DNA contradicts her.
So another issue.
Ooh, low blow, except she pretended to be a Native American. So
you want to
that was the low
Just
blow.
very quickly, here's the thing, though. It's not just about what may or may not have been said in this conversation. Bernie came into this race with a bit of a legacy. The Bernie bros were known to have been horrible to women online. I know plenty of women who would say things like, there were secret groups of women who didn't want to have to deal with the Bernie bros, so they didn't want to engage online. And the Bernie bros, again, they're pretty obnoxious, and they're very sexist and misogynist. So part of it is, it's part of the reason why when he endorsed Cenk Uygur and then had to pull that back because of those comments. He did come in with an impression, and a lot of women still feeling pretty raw from 2016 about the fact that, he didn't stand up for Hillary or have her back or campaign for her, I think, as vigorously as he could have. But also, he never really took on the Bernie bros and said, let's calm down a bit.
No, that's not true. I interviewed him, and I did ask him about the Bernie bros, and he said nobody should be saying things like that. Nobody should be doing things like that.
But that's not the same thing, Jake. That is not the same thing as saying you should not be threatening people. You should not be.
When it comes up, he mostly ignores it. But you're right. When confronted by a respected journalist, he says the right thing. Really, and this is identity politics. People of color. He doesn't really engage women. He doesn't think about
he thinks in
country that way. He thinks in terms of class.
So, first of all, you got to love how Jake Tapper says, well, there's no Bernie supporters here. So, well, why don't you book somebody who supports Bernie Sanders? Maybe you have a little power as a multimillionaire anchor on CNN. I'm pretty sure you could say to a producer, hey, invite a Bernie Sanders supporter on. So it's not just a bunch of DNC Hillary Clinton people here. But I digress. Who was that on Jake Tapper's panel? Bernie Bros, even though Bernie Sanders, by the data, has the most diverse, by gender, by race, coalition of any candidate, the Bernie Bros. Who was that? Oh, that just happens to be Karen Finney, who, by the way, was a top communications person and press secretary at one point for Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign. Just the same Karen Finney who DNC chair Tom Perez, knowing his values, announced as senior advisor to the DNC in June of 2018. The same Karen Finney that, as a consultant, was awarded $10,000 from the DNC just last year. Was that disclosed by Jake Tupperware? That literally the neutral DNC has its senior advisors, consultants that it is paying, going on Jake Tupperware's panel, and this isn't the first time Karen Finney, who's a Hillary Clinton advisor, is bashing Bernie Sanders. How's that for neutrality? CNN, I mean, they don't disclose when they have military commanders on that have private defense contract connections, private intel, private security connections, and then push for wars. They don't disclose that. They don't disclose when they have lobbyists on. They don't disclose when they have paid DNC advisors on. This is news. And by the way, of course, any candidate, whether it's Bernie, Biden, anybody, of course there's going to be people on social media that support the candidate that may cross the line from time to time. You can't wrap that around the candidate. It's social media. It's a cesspool. But from what I have seen, at least over the last 3 years, I have not seen this Bernie bro misogynistic, hateful thing. I've seen a lot of Hillary Clinton supporters use that as a shield around them to avoid having to talk about policy. I've seen a lot of Kamala Harris supporters use racism and sexism as a shield around them to avoid talking about policy and who they're taking money from. It doesn't mean that a Bernie Sanders supporter has never said a misogynistic, sexist thing in their life. Of course, there are supporters out there who have said that. By the way, Joe Biden just openly, publicly, this is not in a private meeting, Joe Biden just publicly, 2 weeks ago, said, well, you know, Hillary had to deal with sexism, so that won't be an issue with me. He just literally said, me being a man is an advantage. Me being a man helps me, is an advantage to beating Donald Trump. He just publicly said that. Where was the uproar? Where were these same DNC consultants going on bashing Bernie Sanders? I didn't hear them say a word about Joe Biden publicly saying, well, you know, Hillary was a victim of sexism, and, you know, I have a penis, so that's not an issue. And by the way, do I think sexism played a role in Hillary Clinton losing? Yeah, on the margins. Do I think all of the industrial Midwest having their plants closed down, their jobs sent offshore, their entire the economics of their communities destroyed because of the neoliberal policies of Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and getting hoodwinked by a fake populist? Did that have a bigger impact than sexism? Yes. Yes, it did. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.